Hey, what is up guys? I hope you're having a good day. As you can see right here, I have the 2023 911 GTS with us today, and I'm gonna show you guys a walk around. I'm gonna show you all the cool facts and features about this car, and then I'm gonna take it on a test drive and do some 0 to 60 testing, and then give my final thoughts on this car. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now, what is the GTS and who is it for? Well, basically the GTS sits right in the middle of the 911 lineup, so it's really between a Carrera S and a 911 GT3. It's really for people who don't quite want to spend all the money on the GT3, but they want something that's more hardcore, more sporty, and more track focused than a regular Carrera or Carrera S. Now, the starting price of this car is $150,000. It used to not be this expensive during the first iteration in 2022. However, Porsche has increased their prices lately, which is unfortunate, but now we're starting at $150,000 here. This car comes with 473 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. The car also has a claimed 0 to 60 of 3.2 seconds. However, as I will show you later on in the video, this car can actually do it quite a bit faster. Now, one of the most important features that this GTS gets is a new suspension. So it gets the suspension directly from the 911 Turbo and the Turbo S, which basically gives this car stiffer spring rates, stiffer anti-roll bars, and helper springs in the rear. Overall, the result is a little bit firmer of a ride that ultimately does handle better on the back roads and the racetracks. This GTS also comes with the Sport Design Package as standard. So instead of getting the typical wide open big mouth that you see on some of the other Carreras, you get the Sport Design Package, which basically divides the front grille area into 3 different sections. Now, the GTS also gets this longer and lower front splitter as part of the Sport Design Package. The difference though is that because the GTS, Porsche really wanted to make this really a black pack car or a black trim car, even if you get the aero kit on this GTS, you still get that front bumper in the satin black. So now moving on to the wheels. As you can see, we get the wheels directly from the 911 Turbo S. They look really cool, very sporty, and they are a center lock design. So if you don't want the center locks, you can get the optional RS Spider design wheels. But in general, I think most people are going to get this option just because it just looks cooler, and it's also free of charge. Now, behind the wheels, we have these massive brake rotors. These are also directly from the 911 Turbo. These are the iron rotors. However, you can get the carbon ceramics if you want. These are 408 millimeter discs in the front and 380 millimeter disc in the rear. So massive, massive stopping power. And I really like this because the GTS, it doesn't have as much power as the Turbo. It's also 200 pounds lighter, but yet you get the same exact brake. So what this really does to the car is it gives an overall balance and just crazy stopping power because you get these massive brakes. And then as we move along to the side of the doors, all GTSs come standard with this black GTS badging on the bottom of the doors. It's very subtle, but it looks really, really good, and something that you can't quite get as an option on a Carrera S or a base model. I believe on those models, you kind of just have to get the Porsche stripe or something along that nature, but it is cool that you can actually get the GTS badging itself on the door. Now, as we move to the back of the car, I'm sure the very first thing you notice is this massive wing right here. This car is actually fitted with the optional aero kit package. It is not standard. However, it is only a $2,000 add-on for the GTS. In my opinion, if you had to get any exterior option, this is the one to get. It really makes the car look a lot cooler, has way more street presence, and it's actually functional because Porsche in their press releases have stated that the aero kits on the Carreras and the Turbos actually provide more downforce than the regular standard spoilers do. So not only does it look cool, but it's actually functional. So as we move over to the lower portion of the rear end, you're going to see more and more black badging. So for example, you get the Porsche badge in satin black. You also get the 911 Carrera GTS badge in satin black as a standard option. Now, because this has the Sport Design Package, you get a slightly different bumper. So the license plate on the non-Sport Design packages usually is somewhere down here. With Sport Design, it moves up to the actual body panel, and then on the plastic bumper, you get this new air intake, which obviously is going to help improve the cooling and the airflow of the engine that's above it. And finally, on the GTS, you get the sports exhaust system as a standard option, and it comes with black tips as standard as well. So as we can see, GTS just has a lot of standard features on top of some of its unique features as well, But that's why this car is just such a value proposition, because you're getting so many things standard on a GTS that you would have to pay money for on a regular Carrera or a Carrera S. Now, as we move on to the interior, as you can see, Porsches have extremely nice interiors, and this is one of the biggest selling points of the 911. Now, the GTS in particular does get some pretty cool features that aren't available on a Carrera S. For example, we get the GTS interior design package. I like to really call it the GT3 package, because what it does is it gives you Alcantara on the seat centers, your armrest, like your door panels, and really just all over the car you get Alcantara. You also get it on the lower portion of your dashboard and also here around your key fob. So it really just adds to that sporty look of the car, that sporty design. Now, you can get a full leather interior if you want to, but personally, I think if you're gonna get the GTS, you're probably somebody who enjoys driving, you enjoy the sportiness, and I think the Alcantara is probably gonna hold its value better, and it just looks a lot cooler. And also in the GTS, you get this black brushed aluminum as standard. You can also option some carbon fiber, but personally, I think considering this car kind of has that black pack theme to it, it does really blend in well with the rest of the interior. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention with the GTS interior package is that you get the option of either chalk or guards red stitching. Now, what you do is you get stitching on the headrest, all along the seats, and you also get it on your dashboard. In addition to that, they also give you a chalk tachometer and a chalk sports chrono clock for free as well, and you get the chalk seat belts. Now, as we make our way into the interior of the car, I did start it up just to get the air conditioning going because it is very hot outside, but everything in this interior, it just feels so clean and high quality, and all the parts are just put together extremely well. Another thing that I did not mention was that with the GTS interior package, you also are forced, for whatever reason, to option the carbon fiber trim. As you can see along here, you basically get it along the dash, on your doors, and you also get it around your cup holder here. So it's a really cool option. It does definitely make the car feel a lot more premium. Some people may be mad that Porsche forces you to option a $3,000 option on top of the $1,000 that you're paying for the GTS interior package, but overall, it does end up with a very nice finish. Now, this car does have the Alcantara steering wheel as option. You can get the leather steering wheel as well if you want. Personally, I found that the Alcantara isn't really fading away too bad, and it's holding it very well. Now, the rest of the GTS interior is just very standard 911. It's very high tech, it's very nice. All the buttons, they feel really good. They look cool. And everything just works in the car. In terms of the infotainment system, some people like it, some people don't. I personally like it, but I do feel like the infotainment has a little bit too many just like things and options and stuff inside of it. So it did take me a while to learn this, but kind of what I've realized is that once you get through it and you kind of set everything up at the beginning, you don't really visit the regular infotainment too often, but there's so many different things that you can adjust in the car, like your comfort, your trip, you have driver's assistance, you can try change your different drive modes. This also comes with HomeLink, which actually works very well as a GPS function that basically allows you to pull up to your garage and it'll automatically pull up HomeLink for you. Really cool option. You can control your air conditioning, and you have media, and you have so many things that you can do. You can actually even control your lap timers for your sport chrono. So it is a very cool infotainment system. It's pretty responsive. It's not the greatest infotainment ever, but for a Porsche, it fits it really well. You also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, and you get wireless CarPlay, which is really nice to have. Now, in terms of the driver's cockpit, the gauge clusters and whatnot, I think Porsche really nailed it on this one. It looks so cool, and the fact that they retained the analog cluster is really cool, and it still looks modern. Usually analog clusters, they don't look amazing, they look kind of old, but this one just looks so cool, so modern. And then you still have all your digital screens on here, and what Porsche does, which is really nice, is that they allow you to kind of adjust it however you want. So you can change all these different settings. You have maps and lap timers and G-forces and tire pressures and drive modes, everything you can get. Now, one of the biggest complaints that everybody complains about on YouTube about the 911s is this view right here, because you can't see your whole entire gas gauge. Now, Porsche, I believe in 2023 or maybe 2022, I don't know which one, But with this new PCM update, what Porsche did is they actually added another setting called reduced view. And what it does is it basically gives you only data in the middle, and it shows your actual gas mileage. So for anybody complaining that the 911s don't show your gas mileage and you can't see where it's at, if you get a 2023 or later model, you can just use your reduced view and you don't have to complain anymore. Now, because this is the 911, I think it is necessary to show the rear seats at least. This is one of the reasons why a 911 is, so good and why it's so practical, is because you have all of this space back here in the rear seats. Now, also because this is a rear engine car, I think I might as well show you the frunk sizing, which actually is pretty big. I have some of my camera gear in here, my backpack, my tripod, and some of the stuff that fell out. But it's a really big frunk. Like, you could legitimately fit a whole entire grocery run, or shopping at the mall or anything. You can fit a lot of things in here. So not only do you have the space in the rear seats for storage, but you also have a very, very nice big frunk here. Now, I have seen some posts online that people claim that the all-wheel drive versions have a slightly smaller frunk. Now, this is the rear-wheel drive Carrera GTS, as you saw already. So this does have a slightly bigger frunk, supposedly. But even if you had a little bit smaller, it's still plenty of space, very, very big. It's a lot bigger than what you would think out of a sports car. All right, so that wraps it up for the walk around and the facts and features. Now we're gonna go drive the car. Tell by that sound, that extra sound deadening removal that the GTS gets on the interior, it just makes the car feel just a little bit more sporty, and just a hint at redline of GT3 almost. It sounds so good on the inside of the car. Now on the outside, of the car, it doesn't quite have that GT3 sound. It sounds more like a Carrera S on the outside, but on the inside it sounds very, very GT3. I'm going to roll down the windows here and give you guys just a little bit of just a quick little pull underneath the tunnel. So it sounds pretty loud on the outside. A lot of people on the YouTube videos, they kind of make fun of the Carreras in the 911s, and they say that they sound like vacuum cleaners. I don't really think they sound like vacuum cleaners. I think in videos they sound different, but in real life they actually sound quite loud. Unfortunately, there's a traffic jam right here, so I'm gonna have to get around this somehow. All right, so we're back on the road now. I'm gonna put this thing in Sport Plus just to feel that stiffer chassis. Everything tightens up a little bit. You get that, the full spring rates in Sport Plus mode, and wow, you can just feel the car feels so planted, and there's no body roll. It feels like it just does everything so easy. And this thing it gets up the speed so fast that sometimes you kind of question, like, do you really need more horsepower on the road? But as far as the handling, this thing is just so planted. You really do feel that tighter suspension, from getting that turbo derived suspension tuning. And everything just feels a little bit sharper than the Carrera S. I'm actually going to do a few acceleration pulls so you guys can see just how fast this thing goes and how good it sounds. Sounds so good. And that sound is really just that extra sound deadening removal. It sounds so much like GT3 at the red line. But I mean, as you guys saw, this thing, even though it only gets 25 extra horsepower over the Carrera S, I do think it does make a difference. definitely are picking up speed faster than you would in a Carrera S. And it's just, this thing's so quick and so fun. Because it gets the turbo brakes, the turbo suspension, it's lightweight, it feels so balanced. Like, it feels like you're not really like you're not even really getting to the car's limit because it's so easy to control. Now, I will say that because it gets the stiffer spring rates in Sport Plus mode with the suspension in the sportier setting, over bumps it is fairly stiff. Like, you do kind of get thrown in the air a little bit. It is what it is, right? It's the part of driving a sporty, stiff race car, essentially. But what you can do is you can put it in sport mode, you get the softer suspension, and now it feels a little bit better. It's still a little bumpy, as with any sports car, but you know, it's nice that Porsche allows you just to quickly change the driving modes. Now, I'm just cruising in normal mode now. So how is just the, you know, livability, the comfort, etc.? Obviously, we got the 18-way seats, super comfortable, so many different adjustable settings that you can do in the seats. Really, the seats are just as comfortable as you're gonna find in any other car. The ride in normal mode is great. It's what you would expect from a 911. We're on nice roads here, but it still feels like, you know, just as comfortable as a, you know, nice sedan. It's fairly quiet in here. I'm sure, you know, you guys can hear me just fine. And this is just on a regular GoPro mic. I don't even have like a, you know, special microphone set up to this. There's not really a ton of wind noise. And the car just really quiets down, and it just feels so, it feels more Grand Touring, more luxury in normal mode. This PDK, as we all know, the shifts are very quick, right? Everybody knows that. But what the PDK does that makes it more unique and more just better from a street car perspective over other types of gearboxes is that it's smooth, right? Like, when I'm not going full throttle, even though I'm in sport mode, this thing shifts like really smooth. Most cars, like Ferraris and, you know, Toyota Supras and BMWs and stuff, they are quick on the shifts when you're going all out, but when you're just driving normal speeds, they throw you around. Like in the Ferraris, when you downshift, it like lurches you forward. Whereas with this 911, like, I'm downshifting, like, you barely feel any sort of like lurch or, you know, lugging on the engine. It's so smooth and it's so just easy to drive. All right, so we're gonna do a little 0 to 60 right here just to show you guys how fast this car actually is. So we're gonna stop right here. We're gonna go reset draggy. We're good to go. Sport response, foot on the throttle, and go. That was good. That felt really good. And what did we get? 3.07 seconds, guys. So this car is 0.2 of a second quicker to 60 miles an hour than what Porsche claims. So I will show you a screenshot of the draggy, but wow, like, how does this car rear wheel drive? It's 100 degrees outside and it just is so fast. Like, how does Porsche manage to make a car that goes this quick, 0 to 60, and it's not even like, it's under 500 horsepower? I mean, how does Porsche even manage to do this? I don't know. I'm guessing it makes a little bit more power than what they say it makes. Kind of getting to the final thoughts and stuff. Now, what does this car do really well, and what does it not do well for the price point, right? And also, piggybacking off that, what does, you know, what do the competitors offer, or who are the competitors? Well, I would say that the competitors, or the competition, is really an Audi R8 rear-wheel drive. You could argue, you know, used cars, used 570S, but I would say it's really only fair to compare new to new, because there's always going to be used cars that are faster or whatever than the brand new cars, but for new versus new, I think Audi R8 is the clear competitor. They're both German. They're both arguably supercars. They're both fast. They're both essentially the same thing. Now, what does the 911 do better than the Audi? Well, the 911, I would say, for one, it is just better driving. It's lighter, it handles better, brakes better. Also, probably will do a faster lap time in general. It's quicker, right? It just launches. It has no problem getting off the line. The 911 also is a lot more practical and, you know, daily drivable, I would say. So overall, I think for 150 grand MSRP, this is really the car to get if you want a sports car that you're going to drive a lot. Now, if you're not going to put a lot of miles on this car and you're just going to, you know, use it occasionally every Sunday or so, maybe an R8 would be a better choice, because this isn't as exciting and as much of an event as an R8 or some of the other cars are, but this does the daily driving and the everyday high mileage, different types of terrain and weather and track days and everything combined. This does it better, right? But the R8 and maybe some of the used cars have a bit more flash, a bit more flair, and some of them might even be quicker than this car, but this does everything better from an overall standpoint than the competition. All right, guys, so that wraps up the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because it really helps me out with these videos so I can put more out. But yeah, so let me know what you thought about this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.